All right, so thank you for sitting down with me. I really appreciate this. Before we start talking about the upcoming trial, if it's okay, I'd like to start by asking a few questions about your UCF career.
Sure.
Um, so, you had so much success running for the university, tons of all conference teams, championships. I was making a list of like all the program records you have, and it honestly kind of got hard because there was just so many. What was your favorite memory from your time at UCF?
Um, I think it was all of my favorite memory from UCF was definitely meeting all of my teammates. Every year was uh someone new, and it was just so awesome to have that many people on my team between cross country and track and meeting people from all over. And I feel like I could go to any one of those girls today and just strike up a conversation with them and, you know, go right back to where we were. So I definitely miss the camaraderie of all the girls on the team and the coaches as well.
I've always had conversations with like my friends because I'm a huge running fan about, all the great UCF track athletes. Where do you think you are on the list of like all-time greats?
That's a good question. I've never actually looked, but I know that UCF does have a history of distance running, especially on the women's side. And I know there's been a couple other great runners, in the past. Like I still see one girl named Erica running. But yeah, I think that I was just hoping to maybe or shed some more light on the team and distance running at UCF. And I just loved all the resources that they had. So it just made sense for me to go there, um, no matter what.
Now, obviously you did like the 5,000 meters, the 10,000 meters, but now you're running marathons. That's a bit of a jump. What made you want to start competing in marathons after leaving UCF?
Yeah, so I've always been kind of a long distance runner in general. And I think, my longest distance in high school was 5K. And then I went to college and it became, all about the 5K, 10K. And then turning pro, I still did the 5K occasionally, but more 10Ks and then building up my mileage to half marathons and then eventually a marathon. But I always knew a marathon was in my future, and that was always the main goal. So it was just about building up mileage and being consistent with that and training, and then getting to a point where I could tackle the mileage of a marathon. And I just think the longer the distance, the better for me.
Now, you're a member of the Hanson Brooks team. How did you join those guys, and like what enticed you to become a team member?
Yeah, so I was kind of looking at programs post-collegiately, and I tried to view or like visit as many as I could and figure out, which ones were out there. And I remember Kevin reaching out to me and recruiting me basically just like you would for college. He was at a regional track meet and introduced himself, and I think we talked that summer and I went on a visit and I just loved everything that they had to offer as far as like support, um, whether that was with like massages or housing and things like that. And there was also another group of girls joining as well, and I thought we could all train together and build up to the marathon, and have kind of built-in training partners. So that's why I joined Hanson's Brooks.
Going off that, how have they really helped you get ready for the race on February 3rd?
Yeah, so we've upped my mileage and the speed, that we do track workouts and uh strength workouts at. So I think they always are ready to prepare me for my next PR. Um, so I've been lucky enough to PR on each marathon I've done because I've made little changes here and there, so it makes it more fun to train for as well.
Speaking of training, can you just kind of explain to people who aren't, runners, what is the training process like for you, specifically for the race that's coming up? Like, like what's been like a week of training look like for you?
Yeah, so we basically run 7 days a week. Usually we'll do one in the morning and about, I would say for this training block, probably four, maybe like 5 days out of the week, I'll have a double, where I'll run later in the day as well. Um, and then the days just kind of consist of recovering. I work on the side as well, but I'm still, just hanging out inside, not doing, a ton of strenuous activity, especially leading up to a race of this caliber. So, yeah.
So I'm a member of the UCF Run Club, so I run too, and I all my friends are runners, and the one thing we always say, because let's be honest, training kind of can suck sometime, and the way to get through it is you gotta kind of like have that reason, that thing that keeps you going, like the way to stay positive. What's like, how do you stay positive through all this training? Like, what's your reason for doing all this?
My, I would say like the whole reason I've like stayed sane during this build, would be my teammates. Um, I'm lucky enough to have, seven total of us here training in Orlando for the race. And I think having people to do it with makes it so much more memorable and fun. It makes, every practice, I never really know like how far I'm really going. I'm just going out for a run, um, with a bunch of my friends. So I feel like that keeps everything more positive. There's always someone who can pick you up on a day that you're not feeling that great. But it's definitely for me like all about the people. So yeah.
What was your reaction to finding out that the trials were going to be held right here in Orlando?
I was super excited. I couldn't believe that it was going to be like so close to home. And then I immediately thought of UCF and like what opportunities that would, pose for like what fans look like and how they can hopefully have someone local to root for, which made it really exciting. And then also, family not having to hop on a plane to go somewhere and watch me run. I'm kind of like not always in the right in the backyard, but basically you can't get much closer than Central Florida for everybody to be able to, come out and support. So yeah.
So yeah, like if like old UCF like friends and family, they've all been like reaching out since the announcement. Just like, what was their reaction to hearing that you're going to get to race here?
Yeah, so they're wondering where they can watch, how they can, best watch a marathon. Because I don't think a ton of my family members have watched a marathon, at least into its entirety. So I think they're in for a fun day and figuring out, what the marathon's all about and what it's like. So yeah, I think it'll be exciting.
The race is downtown Orlando. Have you ever run down there either for like a race, like the OUC half marathon is down there every year, or have you just gone there for like a like a just a regular practice day, or you have any have you ever run down there before?
I never did in college really. But we've done a course tour about two-ish times so far. So, and we're going there again. So, we definitely have a feel for the course.
So you're feeling pretty ready to go. Everything's going good for you then?
Yeah, training's been going great. And I feel pretty good. So we'll see.
So you correct me if I'm wrong. You qualified for the race at Boston, correct?
Yep.
When you came across that finish line, you saw the time. Like, what was your reaction to knowing you just qualified?
Yeah, so I guess I actually qualified earlier at an earlier race in Ottawa, back in what was that, 22. So I had already qualified in that, and then I ran a half marathon and qualified with their half time as well. And then again at Boston, because they have two qualifying times. But I did Boston as like a way to become a more experienced marathoner, I would say. Um, and just get another one under my belt before the trials happen. So, yeah.
What are you hoping to? Well, actually, first of all, so this actually isn't your first Olympic trials, correct? You completed in the last one in, I want to say it was Atlanta. That's where it was.
Yeah. Yep. I was there in Atlanta.
How was that experience for you, and what are you taking away from that to try to do better in this year's event?
Yeah, I think Atlanta was kind of just giving me like a taste of what the marathon was like. It didn't necessarily fit my, schedule as far as like not having done a marathon before that. So I think now that I have three under my belt, it'll make this one so much more um, I think the marathon experience is there for me. I know what to expect because I can, base and rely on the past experiences that I've had. So I think that it will be a better go around this time here in Orlando.
So what are you hoping to achieve here in Orlando? Like any times you're aiming for, anything like that?
Yeah, I guess I'm hoping for to just kind of have a good day, finish and get a PR. But we'll see what happens. You never know. I could run faster, could run slower. But a goal is definitely to PR.
All right. Last question for you here. You were talking earlier, when you found out I was going to be in Orlando, you were excited because you thought of UCF and how, like, night fans, they could have something to root for. So, do you have a message for those fans before the race?
Yeah, I want to encourage everyone to come out and support, even if you may not have ever ran a marathon or know what it's like to watch one. I think this is the opportunity to come out and see what the marathon is all about. So, and I would love to have, extra fans out there pushing me along the way.